All right. And now we just wait for Facebook to let us go.
Awesome.
All right, Allison, we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Living Life 2.0. I'm so grateful for all the enthusiasm, the engagement, the messages. It's just been incredible to see. And today I have a very special treat because my friend Allison here has agreed to come on, and she's got some incredible wisdom, insight, experience working with people on mindset. So today we are talking with Allison Liddle. Hi, Allison. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me, Brandon. This is such an honor. I'm super duper excited.
Oh, excellent. Well, let me make sure I give you the right formal introduction here because it is worth it. You have done some incredible things. I want everybody to know exactly who's speaking to them today. So today we're talking about keep going and how to create that champion mindset, or as I've been posting, the butt-kicking champion go-get-it mindset. Allison is a 3-time best-selling author, as I said before, and I want to make sure I have all your books right. You have Life Under Construction, Designing a Life You Love, and The Art of Imperfect Action, right? And All Success Comes from Daring to Begin, and your newest book, Keep Going, How to Create a Champion Mindset. She is a top motivational speaker. She's a leadership trainer. She's a podcast host. I listened to one the other day too. It was awesome. Loved the one with you and Chris Robinson. It was excellent. And she is the CEO and founder of Allison Liddle Consulting. She's a president of Prosper Wealth Management and a mother of 2. Allison has her company. She's won national and industry awards. She's trained leaders in the top 10 of the Fortune 500. That's pretty impressive. Allison is very passionate about helping high achievers launch to the next level in their lives personally and professionally. Allison, welcome to Living Life 2.0.
Thank you so much. What an honor. This is super fun. I am so excited.
Well,
I've been looking forward to this. Yay.
Yeah. Well, I'm so grateful to have you here. And for everybody, Allison and I met through the John Maxwell team. I think everybody here is starting to see this pattern flowing here, that through my leadership training with John Maxwell and the John Maxwell family, I have encountered so many amazing people. I've learned from them. I have shared with them, and they've just been an incredible group. And we are so fortunate to have so many of them willing to come on here and join us. So Allison is one of them. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to hear about your new book is what we're talking about, Keep Going, and how to create that champion mindset. And we're going to get to tell everybody how to go get that in a few minutes, but when we're done. But, we have talked over the last several days about fitness. We've talked about how to get that power within. We've talked about relationships. And there's always the recurring theme about mindset. It seems like mindset's kind of the core of everything. So tell us, you're an expert in mindset. I mean, learn us something. Let's hear from you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wrote this book really to honor my mentor, Clifton Macklin. I also met him at the John Maxwell team at one of the conferences in 2016, March 2016. And I just happened to sit next to this man, and he was very proper, and I had just kind of slouched in my chair, and we got to talking, and come to find out he was had owned an investment management company. I owned a financial planning firm. He was super passionate about helping young people become leaders, as was I, and we connected instantly. And at the end of the conference, I didn't see him for most of the conference. At the end of the conference, I saw him briefly and got a picture with him and said, so how'd it go? And he loved it. He's like, I'm in my 70s, and I never really felt like I found my people, but now I feel like I found my people.
Yeah.
And after that, about 4 weeks later, he reached out to me on LinkedIn. I never thought I'd see or hear from this man again, but thankfully he came back into my life, and he became one of the greatest mentors of my life. And So keep going. How to create a champion mindset is keep going is what he would tell me constantly. I mean, every single time I call or talk to him, whether I was having a great day or a not so great day, he would tell me to keep going. And he would say things to me like, Allison, even when it feels like you're walking through mud, keep going. And so this book is really a tribute to my mentor, Cliff. He passed away in February 2019. And I thought, for a long time, I didn't feel like I had the words. I couldn't tell the story because my heart still hurt. I missed him so much. And then it just started to be kind of therapeutic for me to write down the lessons I had learned from my mentor, who really shaped who I am today and how I can serve the world in a bigger way. I mean, the reason that I do what I do is because I had people like him believing in me before I believed in myself. And I think, when we start to recognize that, this is a journey of people believing in us and seeing our greatness before we see it in ourselves. Yeah. That's really awesome. So the book is really about how to create a champion mindset. Cliff was a U.S. World Bodybuilding champion into his 70s. Wow. So it was, I know, right? Yeah.
So he obviously had a champion mindset.
He absolutely did. And that was one of the things that I loved about him is he would talk about the champion mindset. He studied the champion mindset and he would say, Allison, he said, you have a champion mindset, and it's only about 1% to 3% of people have this mindset, but it's a tenacity to keep going, right? It's this resilience that no matter how hard life gets, because my goodness gracious, my dear friends, life gets hard, doesn't it?
Yes, it
and
does.
I did not know all of this was going to happen, and because I started writing my book about 6 months ago. I didn't know that it was going to come out right as we were going through a really hard time in our world collectively. And that mantra would mean so much, but it did. And I'm grateful that I've been able to kind of share that idea that, we get to really choose our beliefs. If your beliefs are serving you, fantastic. But if they're not serving you, you have that choice. And that's the thing I think that that's really powerful. And that's something that I learned from Cliff is that each and every day, all throughout the day, have this choice. I can choose to see the good, or I can choose to see the bad. I can choose to bring my best self to my work and to what I get to do with my kids or not, right? And so really, that's what this book is about, is really helping people understand that they have a choice and that they truly have the power to shape their world.
Yeah. And this doesn't come from a theoretical place for you. You've had some pretty big challenges in your own life where your mindset was tested.
Absolutely.
You want to share a little bit about that?
I had, in my first book is called Life Under Construction, Designing a Life You Love. And at that time in my life, it was about 5 years ago now, I had everything in my life essentially blew up, right? Like I had a premature baby, and thankfully she didn't have to stay in the hospital, but she was at the doctor's like every week at least. Then my mom got breast cancer, and I didn't know, she raised me as a single parent, so I needed to get her better. Then I had 2 cancer scares. We moved to a new city, built a house. We moved our business, built out that, and so it was just lots of change happened in my life. And during all of that, I was grateful because I had this man named Cliff who called and coached me through how I was thinking about things and what really I could control and what I couldn't control. And now I see life in a different way. And that's really what I want to help others with, because, there's hard stuff going on, right? There's difficult things happening. And I'm not saying you just ignore that. I'm saying that each of us has this power inside of us that I didn't recognize until Cliff taught me about it and taught me about how much resilience and potential each of us has. And that's been just an absolute life changer. I mean, just thinking about the last few months, it was what got me through. It was, people would say, Allison, you're so positive. Well, I get to wake up every day and I get to see my little babies. And so life is pretty good. We're good,
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that. I have my tiny little babies right here. We're good. I've got my dog and we're good. And if you focus on the things that really truly matter to you and you see the gifts and you can focus on that stuff. The hard stuff kind of shows up as maybe not as significant as you need it to be. And it's been interesting. It's been an interesting journey.
Absolutely. Well, as we've talked about mindsets over the last few days in terms of fitness and relationships and
Yep.
getting ourselves moving, and of course, Living Life 2.0 is all about how do we live that upgraded life? How do we, I'm a software guy, so 2.0 made sense to me. And as I was going through my challenges over a decade, a period of time, I kept just saying, I'm working on Brandon 2.0. I'm working on Brandon 2.0 and trying to upgrade all these areas of my lives. How do you start with people, or how do you coach people that are at that beginning stage where they're just starting to recognize, you know, I've got some of these negative beliefs, or I've got things that I keep saying, but. How do you coach people and start people on a path to changing how they think?
That is such a great question, and I love that you asked it. Okay, so anybody that's watching this video, or if you watch this on repeat, what I want you to do is get a piece of paper. And here, let's see if I have a blank piece of paper. So you get a piece of paper, and if you want to, you can draw a stick person on it. You don't have to. And what I want you to do is take maybe 5 or 10 minutes and write down the beliefs you hold about yourself. Don't edit anything out. They can be negative, positive, or in between, does not matter. It could be that I'm a mom and I'm a business owner and, you know, whatever it is, write it all down for 5 to 10 minutes. And then you need to be an observer of those beliefs. Do they serve you or not? Like, where did they come from? If they're not serving you, how could you rewrite that belief so that it does serve you? I think, you know, one of the things that was the most powerful for me is I remember doing that activity, sitting in a room with, I think, maybe 50 different, or for at least 100 people from 50 different countries. And we're writing down all these ideas, and some people were crying, right? Because what happens is a lot of us, many of us, we have beliefs about ourselves that maybe aren't serving us, and they're limited beliefs, or and this belief system is really truly our core identity. And so when we write it down and you can see it and you can observe those words, not as negative or positive, just as beliefs that you've been holding on to, you get to choose, my friends. You get to choose whether you're going to believe that crap or not. And that was so powerful for me, because I recognized that I had a whole bunch of beliefs that I had formed when I was young. You know, my mom was a single mom. My dad was abusive. And so I had all these thoughts about myself of not being enough, not being worthy, not being a person that could really truly lead others. And it was crap, to be honest with you, you know? And It wasn't until I wrote it down and I observed it and I said, is this really truly me or not? Because if it's not, guess what? I get to choose whether I'm going to take that baggage with me or not. And I decided to let that go. And so I think that activity just in itself is super powerful, because you really truly, within 5 to 10 minutes, you can really look at where you're at right now, and you can make that choice to write a new script and create a new belief in your life, which is super powerful, because every single time that negative belief comes into your head, you go, oh yeah, I did that activity with Allison, you know, that Allison told me, and I decided that's not true anymore. Even just that, there's so much power in that. That's what I had to do. I had to say, do I believe this? And even better, if you want to get extra accountability, because that's what I do, I had my spouse, my husband, be my accountability partner. So each and every time that I said something that I was like, this isn't a belief I'm holding on to anymore, he would say, do you truly believe that, Allison? Because I don't think you do, because you're really not that person. And that was like a wake-up call, right? Because we all have bad days. We all have things that happen that maybe we can get down this path of toxic thoughts or negative beliefs that kind of creep out. But if you have that accountability partner that's willing to say, you know what, do you truly believe that? Because that's not the Allison that I know. That's not really truly what I see. It's super powerful. And so I just want anybody who's out there who's maybe not seeing the greatness within them, understand that you have a choice right now, my dear friends. And if you could just do this one activity within 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to recognize the greatness in you. I had one person did that activity And she texted me right after she did it. And she said, Allison, I'm just crying. She said, I didn't realize how many limited beliefs I had that were holding me back from who I truly wanted to be. And she's, you know, and as soon as you recognize that, you can go, hey, wow, I have a power that I didn't know I had.
That's right. I just gonna let you keep going. That is fantastic.
Okay,
And no, and what I would add to that, just from the personal side, I think one of the biggest, most powerful exercises I've ever done was very similar to that. Somebody had me put a line down the middle of the piece of paper, and on one side it was writing down all the things I believed about myself. And then on the right side, it was start writing all the things that were true about my identity in Christ, that were true about my history of things that I've accomplished or things that I've done. And then looking at those side by side and looking at just one side and labeling it lies, and the other side labeling it and calling it truth. And then had me rip the paper in half and throw away the lies. And it was that symbolic activity of removing the lies and then focusing on the positive, because where our mind goes is what follows. And so just really, it was a really weird thing. I love your input on this, but basically told me, ignore the lies. Just ignore them. Pretend they don't exist and start putting this list up in front of you and act this way. What else would you add to that?
I do a similar thing where, you know, so after you do this activity, the 5 to 10 minutes, and you write down your beliefs, I have people observe them, not as good or bad, just as like things that they wrote down, just as words on a piece of paper. And not put emotional feeling towards any of them, and observe the ones that they really like, that really like resonate with their best self. Like, I'm showing up as a superstar, Allison, and which words would I choose, or which beliefs would I choose and hold on to? And the ones that maybe aren't serving the best version of me, I would cross off and I would rewrite. Because what I find is, even if I want to just ignore it, it might pop into my head and I want to rewrite it. And so when you look at brain research, you can actually rewrite things that, you know, so they're repeating the same thing over and over again. But what I find for myself, when I'm trying to do that, I need to have something to replace it with. And so if I'm saying, oh, Allison, you're just not a runner. You're not a runner. You're not a runner. I did that for years. And I said, no, I'm running and I'm becoming the healthiest version of myself. I love this. You know, so that shift in my belief about who I was and how I was going to show up in the world helped me, you know. And what I like to say is that we all operate differently, but I think, you know, I found in my experience in coaching people and talking to hundreds, if not thousands of people from all over the world, that anything is better than nothing. So just take a step. Right? Just take a step, believe in yourself. And some of this stuff, it seems kind of weird at first. I remember doing it and going, really? Like, this sounds a little weird. And I even had my husband do it. And he was like, he's a very analytical financial advisor. He's like, really? This sounds a little weird, Allison. Right. And he did it and he was blown away. He got so much power and confidence from recognizing those limited beliefs that were holding him back. And, you know, as soon as we can do that, it's amazing what can happen in our life to help people.
You know, I'm glad you touched on that. It feels weird. I think for me, I resisted it for a lot of years because it just seems so stupid. It seems so cheesy. Like, really, can this help me? Like, I saw, you know, people on stage, or I'd go to these events where people are standing up and cheering and a lot. And I was the analytical guy kind of in the back looking at this going, I don't know about this. But there's when you finally just get to that point, and unfortunately for me, it was I hit a wall and I had nowhere else to go and finally embraced it. But there's so much freedom and power in embracing that cheesiness of your mindset. Yeah.
That is so true. And I think, you know, the other thing that I like, and just like how you said, where you have the truths, one thing that I call that is like your I am statement. So I would get power words that that describe who I am and who I'm becoming. And I say them to myself every single day. And I help my kids understand that. And so when they're trying to do hard things, they say out loud, like, I believe in myself. I know I can do this. I do hard things. I've got this, or whatever it is that they need to do in order to make sure that they're in the right mental place. And even like with our children, understanding that they have beliefs that they're forming right now as well. And so sometimes if maybe they're having a hard day, stopping and saying, if they're saying maybe negative things, well, okay, do you truly believe that? Because I don't see that in you. And we had to do that with my son. He was having just kind of an off day. And I sat down with him and I said, we can't have that. Like, you can't be saying those mean things about yourself, because you'll start believing them. And so what I did with him is we were in his bedroom and I laid him down in the bed. And I actually learned this from Oprah. She's not my true mentor, but I'm going to meet her someday. So she teaches me things. But she did this activity with somebody from India, I think, some yogi from India. And you lay down and you close your eyes and you observe like a red ball and a yellow triangle. And, you can just think of just random things, and then you just let it go, right? Blue ball, let it go. And you just observe those thoughts as they come into your mind, and then you let them go. And so when we're thinking about our beliefs or our thoughts about ourselves, we can do the exact same thing. And so that's what I had to teach my son, Logan, is that he can have a thought and he can choose whether or not that's going to serve him or not. And he can just let it go. He doesn't have to put any emotion to it. He doesn't have to believe it. He can just let it go. Oh, that doesn't serve me. Goodbye. And go on to the next thing.
So talk about the challenge of that, because as we talk about it, and I know in my experience, I hear people talk about it and I go, okay, that sounds great, but my thoughts just keep running. The old player just keeps repeating over and over. And as much as I try to be positive, the old stuff comes back. How do people overcome that?
I would say, because I've been there, and so I understand kind of what the mind feels like when it's like that and it's going and it's rushing. I found, at least in my own life, and like I said, I'm not an expert in this. I don't have, I'm not a neurologist, but I do know that there is research that shows that meditation and being quiet and being still will help you. And it will help you calm your thoughts and calm your mind and help you so that you can start having a space in your mind, and so that you can really start to slow it down a bit. And as soon as you start to slow it down a bit, at least in my life, as soon as I'm able to slow like my body down and my breathing down, my thoughts will slow down. And then I can start to recognize that as I do that, like my physiology, my mind, everything is just so much calmer. I'm a very energetic person. And so that's the only way that I found. I also like to run. For me, like physical activity, really like where I can't be thinking about anything else and I just have my music going. That's another thing that helps me really reset my mind, and so that I can calm my thoughts down.
What about the power of your community? I know you're a big believer in having community, having mentors. You've talked so much about your mentor. What do people do there? How do they build that community that supports them in their mindset?
That's a great question. And that's one of the number one things that I have people come up to me, if I'll speak on a stage in a conference or something, the number one thing I hear is, Allison, I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody that believes in me. I don't have anybody that supports my crazy huge goal. I don't have anybody. And to that, I always say, I bet there's one person. Like we think we need to have a huge support like group around us of like 50 people. Realistically, you need one, maybe two people that really truly believe in you. And one of the things that I found with Cliff is I didn't ask for a mentor like that. I didn't even think that we would ever talk again. What I found was it was give and take. And as soon as I opened myself up to the possibility of finding a mentor like that, it presented itself. And now I'm grateful because I'm finding more opportunities like that. So for the people that are out there going, I'm struggling, and I need help and I don't know what to do. Sometimes what you need to do first is you need to maybe pay to play, which is like find a coach, find a therapist, find somebody that's going to be, your accountability partner so that you can get to a place where eventually maybe that mentor will pop into your life. I built a community called Launch Leaders, and that's a group of people that I just wanted people to support each other. I wanted them to encourage each other, and because I saw the need. And I think, things like that are, it's so useful right now, especially to say, many of the people just are like, I just needed some positive, like I just needed to go to a place that's going to be positive and inspiring and empowering. And I know that you'll bring that to me. And so I think, creating, just like what you're doing right now, creating spaces, creating groups, and creating community is super important, especially right now. And to understand that you just need one person. You need one person that's going to believe in you and be that person for somebody else. That's one of the things I always say is like, could you just start as accountability partners with somebody? And you're just you're accountability partners, and you encourage each other, and you love on each other, and you see the greatness within each other, and you remind each other of that. Especially when things are hard, that's when we shut down and we don't want to ask for help. And I've had to, especially with my husband being the analytical person who's very quiet and introverted, that's been one of his hardest things is he's like, I don't ever want to ask for help because, I should be able to figure this out. And he's within the last few years recognized how much he needs to ask for help, especially when he's having a difficult time. To ask for help is really, it shows maturity and growth. And I think all of us need to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Allison, I am so grateful for your time and sharing with us. I would love to do two things before we wrap up. Number one, I want to give you the last word of encouragement and support for anybody that's struggling with getting their mindset in order. And then the second thing I want you to do is let people know how they can connect with you. I'll make sure that we have links to your book in the Facebook group so people can go buy it if they'd like to. But it's yours to land this plane. You've done such a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. First off, I want to thank Brandon for what you're doing. This is exactly what the world needs more of. And it's people like you spreading hope and joy and positivity into the world. I wish we could just amplify everything that we're doing, right? And it's getting there. But I really appreciate this time and energy you put into this group. For anybody who's out there who's saying, you know what, this kind of sounds like a great idea. I don't know. I don't know if I should. Why not? Why not try? What if it's better than you could have imagined? I have a background in engineering. And so I can be very analytical if I want to, and I can look for all of the things that might go wrong. And it took me consciously stopping and saying, what if it goes better than I could have imagined? What if all of this work that I'm doing really helps inspire and empower people? And I want you to think about that in your own life, because each and every one of you have a message, you have a voice, and you have power inside of you, that there is somebody waiting for you to step up into your greatness. And there's somebody waiting for you to share that message of hope and inspiration, and they need you. And so if you do it for maybe one person, maybe it's your kid, maybe it's your, somebody in your life, do it for somebody else. And it just makes it so much more meaningful. So I believe in you. I'm super excited for you. Keep going. Where's my book?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, get the book up there.
Friends. Keep going.
Yes, absolutely. And for anyone else, I know we have business owners in our group as well. This whole 2.0 mindset is about, growing all areas of our lives and financial stability and having our own business and controlling our schedules is important. And I know you have a freebie on your website on how to grow your email list. And I've downloaded it, I've used it, and it's fantastic. So I encourage anybody, if you're, I know we have people in here with network marketing and coaching businesses and even brick and mortar businesses. Building your list is so important. And Allison has a great resource on her website for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love building businesses and helping people. That's my thing.
Yep.
So I thank you, all of you. If you need anything, I'm here.
Excellent. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us again. This was Allison Liddle. You can find her at AllisonLiddle.com and her book, Keep Going. I'm going to put that down in the links as well so everybody can share it. Allison, thank you so much. I know you're busy, and I'm so grateful that you took 30 minutes to join us and share with our community.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Bye, friends.
Thanks, Allison. Have a great day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.